Hello Blender fans and welcome to Urticaceae. In this tutorial I'll be showing you how to make a net using the transparent texture that we actually created last time on the previous tutorial. Here we go. In this tutorial there's objects round, so I'm just going to show you some quick keys. So G and Y, we'll move it along the green line. G and X, we'll move it on the red line. G and Z, we'll move it on the purple line that only appears once the Z direction is enabled. S will scale, Control Z will undo what you've last done, and Tab will take it out of edit mode, and we've got point select, line select and phase select. You can actually select these by pressing the 1 on your normal keyboard, 2 or 3. And the other thing we'll be using is Control and R, which will subdivide a mesh. And if you actually hit your mouse wheel, you can actually split that into 3. Or if Control Z, if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, Control R and just press 3 on your keyboard, and that does it just the same. Control Z just to undo that. Tab takes you in and out of edit mode, like I said. And the only other thing that we'll be using quite a lot is probably the full stop, which will fetch whatever you've selected into the center of the screen. So if it's that phase, hit the full stop, it'll be that phase. Hit the top, it'll be that phase. Or if it's a full object, it will just center yourself on the actual full object. So first of all, we don't need the cube, so delete the cube. I'm going to add in a plane today, so add the plane. I'm going to scale this in the Y direction by 1.5, and then I'm going to G and Y and move it down to that edge there, just so it just actually rests on the red line. I'm then going to add a texture to this. So the texture I'm going to add is a image texture. So hold on, just let me have a look at this. We're going to do this an Eevee tutorial. And we'll add the image texture. You could also use this for cycles, no doubt. Add a texture, new, and the texture that we'll be adding is a image texture. So what you do, you've got your base color here, you hit the little dot at the side of it, change that to image texture, and then we're going to open the image, and the image that we're going to open from wherever you've saved the image on your computer is I've saved mine to nettle, and I'm just going to open that image. If I go on to what you've got up here, you've got wireframe, you've got 3D view, which is solid. You've also got that one there, which is the material preview, and you've got that, which is the render preview. As you can see, we've got bless you. Right, we've got the leaf there, and what I'm going to do is go into UV editing, because I'm just checking that the actual leaf is going to the edges. If you find that this is not going to the edges, say it's, I don't know, it's like that or something like that, or it's too small like that, all you need to do is you just go G and just move it to the corners. Just select the edges and just move them to the corners. Same with the last edge. And if we go into actual render select, you see that just does that. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go onto edit mode by pressing the tab key. In fact, I'm going to go back into modeling first, because that's easier to do. So I'm going to the render mode. Because we're in Eevee, it updates nearly immediately. If you've got a problem, then you can actually do it on the material preview. It's just as easy. So hit the tab key, which takes you into edit mode, and what I'm going to do is actually go into line select. You can either do that by going up here, or you can press the 2 key on your normal keyboard. I'm just going to press Control and R to split this. As you can see, right click actually fixes it. As you can see, that line there is not going down the center of the leaf, so I'm just going to select that there, GG, and move it to the center of the leaf, and GG, move that to the center of that leaf. And if we went into UV editing, you'll see that if I just select it all, you'll see that that then follows down the center. Back into modeling, out of edit mode, in fact back into edit mode, and select edge select, select that edge, and G and Z. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to subdivide this by 6 just to actually make the shape of the leaf. So I'm just going to select that edge, that edge, that edge, that edge, that edge, and that edge, and G and Z, move it up slightly, and then the inner edges on that one. All I'm doing here is putting a bend in the leaf, and select the inner ones, sorry, Shift Alt and Shift Alt. What I'm doing there is I'm pressing the Alt key, but if you press the Shift key and Alt key, I know it doesn't show you, and the left key, then it does that. So G and Z, and last of all I'm just going to move that center one, G and Z, just up slightly. And now what we've got there is we've got the shape of the leaf, but as you can see, these bits are not see-through, but we have made a transparent texture, and this is a transparent texture. So if we just went into the shading tab, and what we'll do is we'll just shrink that image, shrink this up a bit so we can see it. What you've got there is you've got alpha. Because we saved the actual image in the ping format, it has got an alpha map on it, so select that into the alpha map and then go into the actual substance or the material, and we go down here and we've got opaque. Alpha hash seems to work better on plants, that's what I found, so, and I'm going to go into alpha clip. So now we've got a leaf. So if I go back into modeling, out of edit mode, and we've got a leaf. If I add a mesh into it and say a cube, and G and Z, just move the cube, as you can see it has now got transparency. X delete. What I'm going to do is take that leaf, G and Z, just move it up in the air slightly, and I'm then going to duplicate it, Alt and D, and I'm just going to move it. In fact, I'm not going to move it, I'm just going to X delete that. I'm going to start again. I forgot a step, which is Object, Set Origin, 3D Cursor. In fact, I shouldn't have moved that one yet. GZ, I'm just going to move it back down to the line. Then Object, Set Origin, 3D Cursor. And Alt and D, we'll start again. Rotate by 180. Means I've got a leaf there. I'm just going to move that in the actual X direction slightly. Oops, sorry about that. That seems to X delete. Control D. Shift and D to duplicate. Rotate Z 180. That's better. I don't know what I've done there. G and X. And as you can see, we've got two leaves there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to join them together, and I'm going to hit this smooth modifier. So we've now got two leaves. Alt and D to duplicate them again. Rotate by Z by 90 just to make another leaf, and G and Z just to move them up. So now we've got actual 4 leaves of our nettle. So join that, and join them together. So now we've got the 4 leaves of our nettle. What we're going to do is we're going to now add a modifier, add the array modifier, and then we select the Z because we want it to go in the Z direction. We don't want it to go in the X direction, so 0 the X, and then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll just do it to 8. So we've got 8 leaves. 8 leaves, yep. So now we've got 8 leaves and they're looking quite good, but they're not very real. So what we need to do now is we need to add a empty, and we're just going to add the arrows empty. There's the empty. Go onto the empties panel there, and we're going to actually select the leaves. Go into object offset and then select the empty. As you can see, that's done something very, very strange, and it always seems to do. So let's go back into the empty, select the empty, and what we need to do is change these to 0.8, 0.8 and 0.8. That just changes the scale. And then what I'm going to do is rotate this by 0.95. Oh, sorry, I'm going to rotate it by 95. And I don't really know why this works. If somebody can actually tell me why it does, but it just does something really fantastic when you actually just change that like that, and lo and behold, we've got a nettle. Apply the modifier. I'm sorry. Select that, apply the modifier, and we have our nettle. A very low poly nettle. It's only got 448 faces so far. I'm just going to add an object to it, and the object I'm going to add to it is add a mesh to it, and the mesh I'm going to do is a Conwell Garden cylinder. I don't want that many faces, so I'm just going to change the faces on that to, I think, 8. I think that'll be enough. So, right, go into edit mode, select that face, scale that down so it's about the thickness of our stem, and scale this down, scale, 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 and then G and Z, take it up, just a little bit of adjusting. I'm just going to G, scale it down, scale it down, 7, G and Z, and just take it to where it needs to be, scale it up slightly, and what you've got there is you've got our nettle. All I need to do is A to select all, 1 to select from the front, U to unwrap it, and project from view, unwrapping it, and then go into the UV editing, add the actual material we did earlier for the plant. If it's not showing up here, it is showing up there. If it's not showing up there, you can always find it up here. And then A to select all, S to scale, G to move it up, R to rotate slightly until I make it go along this, S to scale, and there we have it. We've got a plant. The only thing we haven't got is we haven't got any subdivisions across there, so we can't twist it yet. So Control R, subdivide it however many you want. I'm just doing it about 23 times there. and then select the leaves. Make sure all modifiers are actually applied if they're not already done. Sometimes you forget to actually apply the modifiers and this won't work. So select them, select the stem first, select the leaves, and then join them. Then shade smooth again. And what we've got there is, if I just add a plane, G and Z, G and Z, scale the plane up. Right, as you can see, that's a bit too uniform, so it don't look particularly real. So what we'll do is go into proportional editing up here. Well, first of all, go into edit mode, and then proportional editing, and then just grab some parts of the actual, grab a bit of stem, move it to the left, grab another part of the stem, grab it there. The mouse actually controls the wheel on how much you actually distort things, so it's entirely up to you, but this just adds a bit of realism to your actual plant, just so it's non-uniform and looks slightly different. There's my metal. If I render that, I'm just going to scale it down slightly so it fits better on the thing. If I just render that, scale it down a bit more, my metal's a bit too big, F12, and then if I just fetch this up, just render so you can see it. As you can see, we've got an actual nettle plant, which will be good for any game or background. The shadows, actually, you've got shadow on shadow and everything, and it looks quite good. If we were to actually add an HDRI to this, let's just add an HDRI quickly. Environmental texture, open, HDR heaven. We should have these nettles up on the nettle somewhere. Right, so this nettle's up on this hill. Got the shadow there. Let's get it. So I've got my HDRI and my nettle. All I'm going to do is make that into a shadow catcher. So if I go into the visibility, viewport display, in fact there's only shadow catchers are not in EV as default yet. So I'm just going to go into cycles, click on the actual, then go into visibility, and then just change that to a shadow catcher. Put it on CPU, want to put it on GPU convert. Like I said, this can actually be used for all sorts of grass. I'm just talking to you while this is rendering. It could be used for grasses and all sorts of things like that. Just like finish rendering. Rendering. And it's very good for doing grasses and things like that. So, and there you have it. You've got a nettle. If you find out it's a bit too bright like that one is, you can actually just simply tweak the lights and everything, add a bit of 3-point lighting and stuff like that, and let's just make this a bit darker. 0.3, 12. Let's have one more go. All I've done there is made it a little bit more darker. Let's say it's not really very realistic because that's a bit too clean on the bottom of it, but if you're actually hiding this with a piece of grass or something on the bottom of it, then it then becomes very real, and it's really good for actually making backgrounds on things and just bringing a bit. And I think I'll add a bit of if I just add a little bit of shine to the leaves and a bit of roughness to them as well. shinier. That might make it look a lot more realistic as well. Let's have a look at that. There you go, that's the nettle. Please subscribe to my channel and press like, and don't forget to hit that bell. The only other thing I did is I have added a bump map to the actual texture, and as you can see, that gives the actual veins of the actual leaves and stuff like that, just gives a bit more reality to it. The bump map is just done from the normal colour map to the height, and then from the normal into the normal, and it seems to have this kind of effect. But I'll show you on the render when it's done. Just let me do the render, F12, and it just makes it look that little bit more real. Just give me 2 minutes, and all it does is just add a little bit of texture to the actual leaf. And there you have it. The render is done. I'll just actually fetch it into view, and like I say, it just adds that little bit more realism to the actual leaf itself.